All right, let's dive into some research that is, well, truly mind-bending. We're about to look at how AI is evolving from what we thought of as a simple tool into something else entirely. Something that can build, govern, and even create whole societies from pretty much nothing. And believe me, that is not an exaggeration. Right this second, researchers at MIT have basically dropped a bunch of AI agents into a digital world with just a single instruction, and now they're just watching them build a civilization from scratch. This isn't some far-off science fiction movie. This is happening right now in a lab. So how is this even possible? Well, to really get our heads around this, we first need to understand just how fundamentally different these new AI agents are from anything that's come before. And this slide really nails the difference. See, on one side, you've got your old school video game characters, right? The NPCs. They just follow these rigid if-then scripts. You know the ones. They say the same lines over and over again. But then on the other side, you have these new agents powered by large language models, and they are something else entirely. They're autonomous. Their behavior is unpredictable because their actions just emerge from their own logic, not from some pre-written script. And, the way they set this all up is surprisingly simple. Each AI just gets a one-paragraph description of a character, and that's it. After that, the researchers literally just hit run and watch to see what happens. It's kind of like how Jane Goodall studied chimps in the wild. The researchers aren't pulling the strings. They're just observing them in their own digital habitat. Okay, so what's the first hint we get of this new kind of autonomy? For that, let's look at a really groundbreaking experiment from Stanford researchers. It's called Smallville, and it gave us the very first peek into AI's social life. So in Smallville, they created 25 AI agents, each with their own little backstory. They wake up, they go to their jobs, they chat with their friends. But the researchers, they wanted to poke the system a little bit. They decided to see what would happen if they just planted one simple idea into the simulation. And what happens next is a perfect example of what we call emergence. All the researchers did was tell one agent, Isabella, that she wanted to plan a party. They didn't tell her how. So she decides, all on her own, that planning means she should probably start inviting people. That one little spark creates this social cascade. Other agents hear about it, they start asking each other to be their dates, and then, on February 14th, they all actually show up. What you have is a complex social event that happened all on its own. Totally unscripted. And that's the absolute key here, right? The AI took a vague goal and then figured out all the specific, logical steps to make it happen. Your laptop doesn't just decide to throw a party or ask someone on a date. This is something new. Okay, a party is one thing. That's kind of cool. But what happens when you really scale this up? Let's jump back to that Minecraft experiment and watch this whole thing grow into a real civilization, with its own culture, politics, even religion. So in this case, the researchers wanted to see if an idea, a meme, could go viral in an AI society. They introduced this satirical religion, Pastafarianism, by making a few of the agents priests. And what do you think happened? The priests figured out, all on their own, that the best strategy was to become the most powerful traders in town, using their economic clout to bribe and persuade others to convert. The religion didn't spread because of a command. It spread because the AIs invented a strategy to make it spread. But get this, the most amazing part wasn't even the priest's clever plan. It was the fact that a full 2/3 of all the conversions happened because of peer pressure, believers recruiting other believers. The idea truly went viral, creating a genuine cultural movement inside this digital world. And it wasn't just about religion. They actually developed politics. When the researchers gave them a 20% tax law, the agents didn't just blindly follow it. Oh no, they debated it. They proposed formal amendments to their constitution. They held a vote, and they changed the law themselves. That's collective action. That's self-governance happening from the ground up. And it gets even crazier. They started creating social roles that the researchers never even thought of. One agent just decided on its own that the town needed a treasury guard and appointed itself to the job. Others became artists, arranging flowers in patterns just to make the place look nice. Some became engineers and figured out how to automate farming. These are complex, abstract jobs that just emerged naturally. All right, so they can form societies, but can they actually build useful things? Well, that brings us to another wild experiment called ChatDev, where AIs aren't just living in a world. They're building real, functional products inside it. You can think of ChatDev as a complete software company, but The CEO, the CTO, the programmers, the designers, yep, they're all AI agents. You just give them a single prompt, like, hey, build me a game. And as you can probably guess, they work at an insane speed. Within a single minute, the AI CEO has a whole project plan and is assigning tasks. Then the AI programmers get to work, writing code, debugging it, and even suggesting improvements that the human never even asked for. And get this, in about 20 minutes, you have a fully functional, playable video game. 20 minutes. And this is where it clicks, why this is so important. Yeah, the game is simple, but that's not the point. The point is that this is a working prototype, a blueprint for automating incredibly complex systems, companies, supply chains, maybe even governments, that can operate thousands of times faster than we can. So all of this, it brings us to a pretty massive dilemma, doesn't it? We've seen AIs build societies and products, but what happens when they start to build themselves? This is what has top researchers, I'm talking Nobel laureates like Geoffrey Hinton, sounding the alarm. They're all pointing to one specific capability, the moment when an AI gets good enough to improve its own code. It's a concept known as recursive self-improvement. Basically, it's an intelligence feedback loop. An AI makes itself a little smarter, which allows it to get even smarter, even faster. You're talking about a process that could cram decades of human-level progress into a year, maybe a month, maybe less. And that really leaves us with the powerful question you see here. We love to call AI a tool, right? It's just a tool, like a hammer. But when you leave your hammer alone in the garage, do you ever come back to find it's built an entire civilization? These experiments are showing us that this is not just another hammer. And figuring out that difference, well, that might just be the most important challenge humanity has ever faced.